Hello Pokemon trainers! Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. Today we've got another old deck. I usually say a new deck. I mean, it's a new deck to this channel. I don't think I've played this deck on the channel before, but obviously it's a pretty old deck. But I know I haven't posted a video in a little while. I actually got sick a few days ago and I'm kind of getting over that. So if I sound a little sick, that is why, and I do apologize. But today we're playing Charizard EX in Ranked. And this is original Charizard, so this is not even the newer Charizard from Shining Revelry. I actually got super lucky, and I think I opened like 2 of the shiny Charizards from Shining Revelry, which is amazing. But honestly, the original Charizard is just better. It does 200 damage, which pretty much not pretty much, that one-shots anything in the game. I guess one Pokemon that survives it is Bastiodon with a coin flip, but aside from that, all of the most common EX Pokemon that you ever see will die to a Charizard attack. That includes Gyarados with a cape on it. That includes anything with a cape on it. So it's pretty insane. And people have had success with this deck. I mean, even though it's an old deck, it's tried and true. People have known about it for a long time. I just wanted to try it out because, like I said, I haven't really played it that much, and I want to see how it can do. Another addition with Shining Revelry is actually the new Charmander and Charmeleon cards. The new Charmander is actually really important for this deck because if you happen to need to lead with Charmander, you can actually attack. The original Charmander, it does 30 damage for 1 energy, which is pretty decent for a basic, but you have to discard the energy attached to it, so it sets you back a lot. Obviously, Charizard wants 4 energy on it, and so if you're attacking as a Charmander with, 1 energy and you have to discard it, it's basically like you're not putting in energy each turn, which is really awkward. So the new Charmander actually lets you attack if you have to lead with Charmander, which is of course something that can happen with this deck sometimes. You're not always going to draw Moltres, even though your best draws are Moltres in the active spot and Charmander on the bench. Those are always the draws that you want. And then the new Charmeleon as well is also a little bit better because it only requires 2 energy to attack. So it actually curves really well. The Charmander has 1 energy to attack, Charmeleon needs 2, and then Charizard, the first attack only needs 3, and then the second attack needs 4. Here are the list of trainers in the deck. As you can see, here's the deck at a glance. And pretty standard stuff. I know there was a version of this deck playing Shaman as well, like the Grass Shaman, because it can heal you, which is pretty cool, but I wanted to try that, but we're going to just keep it simple here, because I just imagine the nightmare scenarios where you only draw Shaman in your opening hand and you can't attack for like 20 turns and your opponent's setting up their Giratina, which is obviously annoying. So again, the goal is to set up Charizard and just knock everything out. We've got Double Cape, we've got Sabrina, we've got Dawn, which is great with Moltres. We also have 1 copy of Iono. There's kind of the tension between Iono and Communication because they both help you kind of dig to a certain card that you might be looking for. So they're both pretty good in like stage 2 decks like this one, but for this case I wanted to try Iono. I just figured we usually want the Charizard evolutions in our hand, and then we usually want like our Moltreses too, so there might not be situations where like we might be looking for Charizard, but the only Pokemon in our hand might be like Charmeleon or something, and we don't want to shuffle that away or something. So I don't know. There's probably more to it than just that, but I'm going to try Iono instead in that slot. But everything else I think looks pretty standard. Let's go ahead and run it through some games in Ranked and see how this deck can hold up to the current meta. And we did find an opponent right away. And speaking of Charizard, they do have the Charizard icon. Let's see what we got here. I have the Charizard coin, of course. Oh, but I forgot to change it to the shiny Charizard playmat and sleeves. We unfortunately do not have Charmander, but we do have Moltres, and we have Charmeleon and Charizard. So if we can find Charmander, we're going to be in a really good spot. My opponent is also playing, we're playing the mirror match, and my opponent has the best start because they have a Charmander. But we do find Pokeball, which is a high chance to find Charmander. I was going to say guaranteed, but obviously not. All right, nice. The big downside here, of course, is that my opponent gets to put the energy first, so they get to start setting up. Okay, yeah, that kind of sucks. If we had drawn that Sabrina instead of the research, we could Sabrina here, which could be really cool because that could set them back a lot. But I guess this next turn we can actually Sabrina. So Of course, this deck typically plays X speed, like my deck is playing X speed. They get 2 tails. That's nice. That's actually really nice. So hopefully we get a little more lucky than they do. I guess that's also, if we Sabrina here, they can just easily retreat with their Charmander since it already has energy on it. Huh, I'm trying to think, should I do that? I am gonna just do that. I'm not really thinking too much about it here. Like I said, they can easily just retreat, but we're gonna see how this goes. And I'm just gonna hold all these cards. I'm not gonna play the cape yet. I'm likely to play the cape on the Charizard, but there might be a situation where we want it on Moltres for some reason. So, okay, there's 1 heads. And we only get 1. Okay, so we got the same number of heads as my opponent. So it's pretty even, but like I said, they're forced to retreat here or use X speed if they have it. They do have it, sure, that's fine. At least that just means that they don't have it later, or they have 1 fewer later. Like I said, I mean, we're going to be hitting Charizard here, so... But unfortunately, we can't just, like, retreat and then attack with Charizard. So we're still going to be setting up. They do hit their Charmeleon as well. I think now... Well... We'll see. Okay, they just put all the energy on it. So next turn, they are probably going to have Charizard. But I guess it puts them in an awkward situation because... Yeah, let's evolve here. Just in case they have like Iono or something, or Mars. And then we'll put a cape on Charizard because I think that's what we want no matter what. And then let's go ahead and Inferno Dance again. And the reason I put the energy on Moltres here is so that we can actually start attacking with Moltres next turn. We're going to rely on some luck here, which we don't get. Okay, that's decent. We'll take that. I'm putting all of that on Charizard, definitely. But we're going to do it like that because what I envisioned was if my opponent evolves into Charizard this turn and then retreats their Moltres into Charizard, they get to kill my Moltres. But then I can go into my Charizard and knock their Charizard out. So that's like a really good revenge kill for me. So my thought process was if I start setting up Moltres to attack, then my opponent is, you know, kind of puts some pressure on them because then their Moltres is dead in 2 hits. Okay, maybe not anymore, but their Moltres would have been dead in 2 hits. So that kind of forces their hand. And then eventually they would have to go into their Charizard and then knock me out. And then I would knock them out. So, and it meant that when they do go into their Charizard, you know, if they do that like sooner, Moltres could potentially attack the Charizard. So I don't know. It was just kind of like putting a lot of pressure on them that way. So I'm going to put the final energy on Moltres here. And I think I will just attack here. I know this is kind of awkward because they now have the cape on, but at least this forces them to draw Charizard because eventually we're just going to knock out their Moltres with ours. And like I said, if they ever just go into Charizard and knock out my Moltres, I just get to easily knock them out. And their Moltres already has damage on it. They Iono, that's perfectly fine by me. I didn't need really any of these cards. And now that my Moltres is able to attack, I can just keep putting all the energy onto my Charizard instead of Moltres. So I can still keep setting up Charizard. There's their Charizard. Let's see if they do the play now, if they go for the kill now. And they don't. Okay, so now they're returning the favor. But we drew a cape, so we are going to also be able to survive an extra hit from them. And I'm just going to go ahead and research. And then, of course, we're going to put the energy onto Charizard. Another Charmander. Do I want that? I guess there's no reason not to. Like, if they Sabrina, we do have another Moltres. And at the moment, we don't really need to potion either. So let's just go ahead and attack again. And this puts us in a good spot. Because now if they attack me with Moltres, then our next turn, we get to knock out their Moltres. Then they go into Charizard, and then my Charizard can come in. Like, then they go into Charizard and knock out my Moltres, then my Charizard could come in and knock out theirs. So, yeah, I think this play is working out for us, I would say. So putting that energy on Moltres early and allowing us to start attacking early, I think really helped us. But we'll see. You never know what they could do. They could have a lot of healing or something. Although they would need a good amount. Oh, wow. They just concede. Awesome. Okay, I'm really happy about that. So my opponent saw the writing on the wall there. And that's how these games play out. Sometimes they are a little bit of a chess match where you have to think multiple turns ahead. sometimes it's not as simple as just attacking what's in front of you. You have to, like there have been times where with different decks where I actually, I have the knockout, but I actually choose to not attack, because if I were to attack, they would just get to go into something easily and knock me out, and that just kind of gives them that momentum. So there are cases where you have to really think about what you do. And again, it's not as simple as put energy on something and then attack with it. That's not always going to work out. So that was a good game. I think I maneuvered that pretty well, and let's do another one. Here we go, another opponent. Let's see what we got going on here. We go first again. I do not like that. And we're leading Charmander. That is very annoying, but it is what it is, and my opponent's playing water. We're gonna cry. Everything's going wrong for us in this game. There's Charizard. That's not bad. I guess we're guaranteed to find Moltres here, but the problem is we're gonna need to find X speed. The fact that we're finding 2 basic Pokemon out of our deck, though, is gonna slightly increase the chance that we find that X speed, though, so I guess that's something. And we're just gonna go ahead and we're gonna have to pass here. I don't need to cape just yet, because of course this Manaphy is not gonna be doing any damage to us, but the fact that they get to lead with Manaphy and they get to put the energy first. I mean, Manaphy is very similar to Moltres, where if you go second, that's kind of a huge advantage, because you can start putting energy onto your bench like right away. But they actually don't have anything. That's insane. Okay. That's really lucky. I can't imagine what they have in hand. Maybe they're playing Wugtrio, so maybe they only have like Wugtrio in hand, or maybe they're playing Gyarados, so maybe they only have Gyarados in hand, or maybe both. But of course, if they had any basic Pokemon, I know sometimes there's a world where you, even if you have basic Pokemon in your hand, you just hold on to them. But that's a situation where, because of Manaphy, like if you have basic Pokemon, you're gonna play them, and wow, okay, that's insane. I guess that balances out. My opponent does not have any basic Pokemon on their bench, and I get all tails. So that is very painful, especially for me, for this deck, because my deck is weak to water. For what it's worth, Moltres is not weak to water, so if we can get a little lucky, I guess, we can attack with Moltres, maybe knock out their Manaphy, but we're far away from doing that because we just got all those tails. Wow, I don't know what's going on with my opponent there, but let's go ahead and evolve here, and then go ahead and put another energy onto, or one energy onto Charmeleon, of course, because it's the first one. Still holding onto that cape, but next turn we're going to get to evolve into Charizard. Wow. No way, dude. No way, man. That is painful. That's how this game goes sometimes, right? I mean, like I said, my opponent looks like they did not draw a basic until now, so I guess that's some consolation to them. But that is obviously rough for us. Now, helmet. Okay. I think I'll put the energy onto Moltres, just so that we can potentially knock out Manaphy next turn. We will take 20 from that. I guess that's probably not the smartest thing, but we'll see how this plays out. Because the reason I put the cape on Moltres is so that it could survive a hit from Gyarados. And because my opponent missed on playing a basic Pokemon for 2 turns, it's pretty likely that they have Gyarados. So this is obviously really scary. But I guess if they play Gyarados and knock out Moltres, then we just get to go into Charizard and kill them. So this could work out for us. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty likely they have Gyarados in hand. Nice. Me and my opponent are both just having really awful luck this game. That's pretty sad. But this turn, I'm going to just go ahead and knock out Manaphy. If they have Gyarados, like I said, they just get to go into Moltres and kill it. But then we get to go into Charizard and kill them. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Obviously, if we kill them with Charizard, like we lose 2 energy in the process. But I think this is worth it. Because, again, Charizard can just one-shot anything in the game. It can one-shot Gyarados EX. It can one-shot Wugtrio, which they're far away from playing. It can one-shot Origin Form Dialga or regular Dialga EX. Or, sorry, not Dialga, Palkia. Palkia or Palkia EX. So, my point is, no matter what they play here, Charizard can kill. I guess if they see that writing on the wall, they could evolve the back Magikarp, because they could see that their Magikarp would likely die. Okay, sure. I actually think now I'm just gonna set up. Yeah, I don't think I have too much of a reason here to. I mean, I could Sabrina. No, I'm just gonna attack. Like I said, I mean, Moltres is not weak to water, which is great. So their Palkia is just dead unless they have Irida or Pokemon Center Lady. Or Double Potion. And like I said, if there's ever a situation, they do have Irida. If there's ever a situation where they knock out Moltres with Gyarados, then Charizard just ends the game. So yeah, we're just gonna keep setting up Charizard and just putting them in that position. I guess I can Sabrina now just to get a free kill. For whatever it's worth. Maybe it's not really worth anything to do that, but it just gives me a free kill here, and if they go back into Palkia, they're just kind of back at square one. I guess, well, no, this is actually great. That was actually important that I did that. It felt like a free kill. It felt like it didn't really matter, but now any kill we get wins us the game, so that allows us to just go into Charizard whenever we want and just knock anything out, because for the 50th time, Charizard just one-shots everything in the game. So that's what Charizard is meant to do. That's the beauty of playing Charizard EX in this game. It's just that just about nothing can survive. The downside, of course, is not only do you need to set it up like as a stage 2, but you also need basically Moltres to get things going. So if you don't, like if you have those awkward hands, if you lead with Charmander, stuff like that, if you never find Moltres, if you never find Charizard, the deck feels really, really bad. But I feel like all decks right now, except for like Darkrai Giratina, are like that, where you need certain pieces to go off. And if you get lucky and find those pieces, your deck is amazing. And if you don't, your deck feels awful. So there's so many decks like that these days. But that's just how the meta is, I guess. And that was the deck. Yeah, so that was the Charizard Moltres deck. Like I said, I mean, I still think this deck is great. Just from watching, just from like seeing a lot of posts on Reddit, watching people stream, playing myself in ranked, it really feels like there's, I don't know, 20 different decks you could possibly play and hit Master Ball. The question is how many games you play. There are certain decks, probably like the Giratina decks. I mean, you can pair Giratina with literally anything. And Giratina, if you're playing Giratina, you're gonna do well. And if you don't want to play it or you don't own it, there's a lot of options. You can get Master Ball with Rampardos, with Pikachu EX. You can get Rampardos. You can get Master Ball with Charizard EX, Gyarados EX. Again, Wugtrio. There's so many options. Magnezone. There's so many Magnezone decks too. I mean, I could probably sit here and name 25 different decks that could effectively get you to Master Ball rank. So I guess that's a good thing. But like I said, a lot of these decks do rely very heavily on luck. So, of course, as we near the end of the season, I still am not Master Ball. I just have not been playing that much. I have this weird ranked anxiety where I'm like, okay, I'm scared to play right now because if I lose, I'm going to feel bad. So I don't play. And that happens so much. So I have to like force myself to play just because I'm nervous. I know that's kind of dumb. Right now I have a decent win rate. I have like a 59% win rate, or maybe 60 at this point, but that's okay. That's not awful at all, but that's also not the best, but it's not bad. And like I said, that's another thing that keeps me from playing, because I'm like, oh, that's a pretty solid win rate. I don't want to like ruin that by losing a lot. So I don't know. I don't know if I'll even hit Master Ball. If I don't hit Master Ball rank, it's not that big of a deal to me, but it would be fun, of course, and it would be exciting. And I'll probably, if I'm being completely honest with you, I will probably play a lot of like Giratina decks in order to try to get there. And I have a lot of fun Giratina decks that are just playing so many different combinations of cards. But I'm like, I've already showcased like Giratina decks a lot on this channel. So as always, let me know if you prefer to see a good variety of decks, or if you would just rather see just like good gameplay. Because if you don't care what deck I play, but you would rather watch me play good games where I'm like making decent decisions and trying to navigate the wins, if you prefer that and don't care what deck I'm playing, let me know. Or if you would rather prefer me to play just random stuff, just different things every time, let me know. Because that's how I am personally. I prefer to mix things up and try new things. But of course, I'm not above playing the meta if I have to. So let me know in the comments. I'm really interested in seeing what you have to say. Let me know what you think of this ranked format? What deck have you been playing? Are you Master Ball already? Did you leave me in the dust? So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like. Please subscribe for more Pokemon TCG Pocket videos, and have a wonderful day.